Webinar will start soon. Please stay connected. Good evening. I am Smita Mewada, working as a technical head in PCB Power Market. Welcome to PCB Power Market's webinar on understanding DFM and its importance during PCB design. On behalf of PCB Power, I would like to say thanks to all of you for your digital presence. If you have any questions during the webinar, you can drop your question in the comment section, and at the end of webinar, in question answer section, we will review them and answer them. Agenda for today's webinar is on your screen. Let me read for you. What is DFM? Why it is important to address DFM issues during the design phase? Input data guidelines. Potential DFM problems that you should avoid. How to get a free DFM check. Through this webinar, we make an attempt to convey the design aspects from a manufacturing perspective and to provide our customers a set of guidelines that will allow them to design products that are manufacturable. There are many ways to design a good PCB, and the ideas presented here must be considered only as recommendations. Let's start with small introduction about PCB Power. We offer an all-encompassing set of services diligently covering PCB layout, PCB fabrication, PCB stencil, component sourcing, PCB assembly. Complementing this, we also offer a portfolio of enclosures and soldering solutions. To experience integrated system of excellence and all offerings of PCB Power Market, please visit our website www.pcbpower.com. What is DFM? DFM is a short form of a design for manufacturability. It is a design approach where finding and fixing the issues critical for the manufacturing of the PCB layout prior to prototyping. DFM allows the detailed verification of PCB design from the production point of view. The end goal for DFM is making a better product at a lower cost. Why is DFM verification required? Now you will say CAD system is already there to check the basic design rules. Yes, correct, you are correct. But it only checks what is set by design engineer. And if the rules are correctly set, then you will get the correct results. I am not saying that he will set the rules incorrectly, but it may possible that designer is not familiar with the PCB production constraint, or he overlooked them, or he totally ignored them. So you should know what are the features that increase the cost of your PCB or make it difficult in producing, or even make it impossible to produce. In DFM, all the design goals and manufacturing constraints are considered simultaneously and analyzed. Such analysis can identify design elements that cause problems for manufacturing and suggest changes in the design to address these problems. So basically, DFM allows bridging gap between PCB design and production by reviewing and taking it into account technological limitations of the production, while still you are working with the CAD version of the board. So why it is important to address DFM issues during the design stage? In a fast-to-market scenario, cost and quality are the keys to a successful product. As a PCB manufacturer and assembler, many times we observe that very small mistakes that are costly and could have been easily corrected during the design stage. In this graph, we have tried to show the relevance between cost for implementing a change and an opportunity for implementing a change with time factor. You can see your design physical layout moves further to a successful product or to market. Any changes implementation is either costly or impossible. You lose money and time both. 75 to 90% of project or product costs are determined during the first 7 to 8% of development time. Although PCB design incurs only a small fraction of total product cost, the decisions made during the PCB design phase determines the cost of the product over its life cycle. By reviewing DFM issues at the design stage of product development allows solving several problems arising from the release of your new product introduction. It reduces the number of repetitions in the design, reduces the timing of product release to the market, increase the reliability, save the money releasing the product. Simply through early DFM, you can achieve a portfolio of benefits in time, money, and novelty features. In input, the preferred data format for accepting the CAD layout files are Gerber 274X for artwork, and for dealing it is Epsilon, either Epsilon 1 or Epsilon 2. Make sure that your Epsilon build files are embedded with tool list. If possible, avoid sending data in 274D format, as it is already obsolete format. And still, if you want to send data in 274D format, make sure that you include the aperture file along with the apertures used in the design. Once the design is completed and all the required outputs are generated, then for manufacturing of your physical PCB layout, your data package should include copper layers. If your job is of 4 layers, then all 4 layers, 4 circuit layers should be there. 2 mask layers, 2 legend layers if they are. If you have only one legend, then only one legend should be included. Paste layers, if you have used assembly components, board outline layer, mechanical layer, and build data layer. And if you have any specific requirement like carbon fillable mask, wire filling, etc., then include that layers also. Do not send original CAD data files or graphic or GWK files or CAM 350 files or PDF file or any Word file or even Excel file. Wherever possible, check the generated output with Gerber viewer before sending to the supplier for PCB fabrication. Make sure of including all instructions and other necessary inputs needed for fabricating the board in the Gerber and Epsilon files. Use clear and easy to understand file naming and try to avoid long file names. If you have seen, many CAM softwares have very small layer window. So if the file naming are too long, then user has to scroll left and right to just view the functionality of the just to read the functionality of the layer. So if it is avoidable, then use the sensible name to use to define your functionality of the layer as a file naming. Make sure it is easy to determine the layer functionality from the file name and avoid too long file names. Use the same units. If you are using the metric system or English system, English unit system. So if you have used for Gerber English unit system, then output your XLON file also in the English unit system. And so this is basically required to eliminate the conversion or rounding errors. And same way you can use the same resolution for the Gerber and XLON data to allow for a perfect match. So if you have used the grid system to whatever the grid system in your CAD system, then your output should be greater than what the grid system you have used. So if you have used the inch output for inch unit, then 2/6 is the perfect resolution, means 6 digits behind the decimal point. And if you are using the metric system, then 2/5 is the perfect resolution, means 5 digits after the decimal point. Avoid zero-sized apertures or zero-sized tools. And do not send any scale data. Your data should be 1-to-1 scaling, in 1-to-1 scaling. Use same offset for all your Gerber layers and the XLON file. Preferably use 0 offset and use the same resolution for Gerber. If you have used whatever the resolution for Gerber output, use the same resolution for the XLON data output to allow the perfect match. Include board outline in all your layers. Outline is a single closed shape of the shape and size required by you in the final PCB. So we will conclude that anything inside that closed shape is your PCB and outside of that closed shape is not your PCB, it is extra. The outline is required to ensure a proper alignment of all the layers in case there is any offset in your layers. So at the same time, we also need the separate outline layer also. Also make sure that the data you supplied is viewed from the top side of the PCB and all layers should be from the top side. Do not mirror any of the data, any of the layer, either it is a silk layer or a grid layer. Viewing a PCB from top to bottom through the board is a universal practice in the PCB industry. This means that when viewing Gerber data, text on the top side of the board should be readable and text on the bottom side should be non-readable. Also include right reading text in your Gerber data in your copper layers. Always provide the proper layer sequence. For multi-layer board, it is very important that the layer sequence, if the layer sequence is correct, then only the finished PCB will give you the correct results. So there are many ways to indicate the layer sequence. Either you can indicate in the layer in the copper area by writing numbers 1 for top layer, 2 for inner layer, 2 and 3 for inner layer, and 4 for bottom layer if your board is for 4 layer. If it is not possible to put the layer number in the copper image, you can write it outside of the PCB area to make sure your file naming is, or make sure your file name indicates the layer identification. Do not provide overlap drills. Either it is a totally overlapped or partially overlapped. Overlap drills can cause broken drill bits, and the small piece of material left behind may cause voids in the plated holes. So never use overlapping drill to even do not use the overlap drills to define a slot. You can define a slot with a single row of required slot width and length, and if possible maintain minimum 0.15 mm distance between your drills edge to edge clearance. Follow the track to track and track to pad spacing guideline of your manufacturer even for same dates. Here I have shown you the same date spacing and pillable errors. The pillable occurs during production and are small narrow pieces of photoresist enclosed by pads, traces, or planes. These may peel away during processing and cause short or open circuits. You can see two images, and in both the images, the thermal are isolated from the rest of the copper area. So either the definition used for isolated pads are wrong, or the thermal itself definition is having the wrong definition. If you can avoid this error by putting a small strip of copper between isolated pads, and you can put a 0.2 mm strip in between the isolated pads to avoid such issues. And for thermal pads, if you define it properly for inner dia and outer dia, follow the same logic of annularing for inner diameter, and it is a good practice for thermals with a gap of 0.25 mm or 10 mils, and the thermal segment width of 0.2 mm. In right side image, you can see in the middle line is not connected to the copper plane, though it should be, as thermal are defined. Either thermals are defined wrong, or if they are correct, then you need to just check the rotation of the thermal. If you use 0 degree rotation or 90-degree rotation, the four segments, then you get the middle thermal connected. Avoid asymmetric board construction to avoid bow and twist problem. The board must have a balanced construction, and it is good practice to add a redundant layer to make the board construction symmetrical around the center line. Number and weight of the copper layers should also be symmetrical around the center of the stack up. Place plain layers in stack up construction at symmetrical locations to minimize the risk of warpage. Avoid gang opening to SMT pads. What is gang opening? Gang opening means you have completely opened the solder copper pads. So during assembly, these pins will solder will bridge the pins together, and after assembly the component will get short. For solder mask, you should have minimum either 0.1 mm track width opening for allowing pad-to-pad registration, and minimum solder mask then should be 0.1 mm, or either you follow your manufacturer's guideline for mask opening and solder damage. Also note that for mask color other than green, they require wider mask opening and bigger mask dams than what are necessary for the green masking. Also be sure that there is no solder mask covering the pin. If your pins are covered in the solder mask, then definitely you will get a problem in attaching the component at that location. For legend printing, the main consideration is font height and font width. So if the fonts with height less than 1 mm, it may become illegible after printing. So keep minimum 1 mm height and keep the line width for font at least 0.1 mm, and remove any thinner lines which are less than 0.1 mm. In right side image you can see the silk screen is overlapped on the pads. So in the CAM processing it will be cut completely clipped, and while assembly your assembler can find difficulty where the diodes are getting connected. So it is better that you keep wider distance from your solder mask pad or your circuit pads. To avoid clip lesions, maintain a minimum distance of 0.2 mm between lesion elements and the copper images. Avoid unnecessary or irrelevant information in mechanical layers. It is not necessary to put all the information which is relevant with the PCB fabrication or not. You put just in the in your mechanical layer. Simple mechanical layer should contain only the board outline, including dimensions, exact position and size of the, if milling is required, then intermilling, slots, cutouts. And while providing the dimension, always take the center of the contour line regardless of their thickness. If you want to add any additional information in the mechanical drawing, you can add a reference hole, X and Y coordinates of the drill hole center from the PCB outline. Also include the PTH, non-PTH drill information, positional indication of all drill using symbols. Use different symbols for each of the different drill sizes. And if you are going to supply analyzed data, include proper indication for break routing, and if you require break routing, then proper information of break routing, and if you require scoring, then scoring. If you don't your data doesn't have a space to include the correct layer number in the copper layer, then you can show the layer sequence in a build-up also in the mechanical layer. Also you can attach solder mask and bottom solder mask and region layers as they will be in the physical PCB. And if you require any information for assembly, then also you can include in the mechanical layer, and for any information regarding array as well you can add in your mechanical layer. Avoid use of such technical specification beyond your manufacturer's capability. So what are the technical specifications? So track width, spacing, then minimum hole size, all are the technical specifications. So before designing the PCB, consult your manufacturer for their minimum technical capability. So if your manufacturer's capability is of 0.1 mm track width and spacing, and your design is of 0.08 mm track width and spacing, then naturally your manufacturer can't manufacture your PCB, and you have to find then alternate manufacturer. So you, wherever possible, use the same specification of your manufacturer, and wherever possible use the standard technical specification. So in all the fabrication house, there are two types of technical specification. One is for standard and another is for either proto or for critical boards. So if you use the standard specifications, then definitely your cost will be lower, and if you are using the critical specifications, then your price will be higher for your board. If your manufacturer says that he can do a 0.1 mm track width, means that is the minimum track width he can produce. That is not standard for him. So always ask to your manufacturer for his standard technical specification and critical specification to lower your PCB cost. Avoid merged data. You can see the assembly drawing is merged in the copper layer. So it is a output error. While outputting, the assembly layer is merged in the copper layer. So before releasing the Gerber, you can check your Gerber on the Gerber viewer and make sure that there are no any defects in the supplied released Gerber for the fabrication. If you want to avoid to and fro or want to avoid any exception from the fabricator, so it is better to check the Gerber data. So when will you get the exception from the manufacturer? Either the data package is incomplete, or there is mismatch in specification file or in the Gerber data, or your outline is not defined properly, or if there are any abnormal sort or open found in the circuit layers, then definitely your manufacturer will raise the exception and consult you. Or the Gerber data found beyond his technical capabilities, then also the exception will be raised. How to get a free DFM check? On our website, on the home page, scroll down the page, you will find a interactive platform. You will find a DFM check below the interactive platforms. Click on that button, free DFM check. The next window will be like this, where you will below this you will find the form where some basic information required to fill, and then attach the file. And if you want to convey any special requirement or specific requirement or specific information to take care during the data check, then you can write in the special requirement section and upload the file. We will do DFM check for you and will send back you by email. If you have any questions, okay. There is one question from Ginger Chokshi. Is there any importance of copper weight in DFM? Yes. The minimum track width and spacing are different for different copper thicknesses. Thank you. Hope you have enjoyed this webinar. Is there any question? Please add your question in comment section. Okay, another question. What drift tolerance should I design into my PCB? Drift tolerance should be generally plus or minus 0.075 mm for PTH holes and 0.05 mm for NPTH holes. Okay, can you please explain what is the difference between the technical specification page and design guideline page on your website? Technical specifications means what your fabricator can do. So if you check on our website, design guidelines means it is a general guideline that you should follow for your design, and technical specification is the capability of your fabricator. Okay, caster rules on the PCB, how to define? You can put a remark in the mechanical drawing or so in the mechanical drawing. Caster holes on the board edge. Both are the same. What is the minimum distance we should maintain from beacon or outline to copper? For PCB power, for outline to any copper clearance we require 0.2 mm, and for V-cut we require 0.4 mm for outer layers, and for inner layers outline to copper clearance we require 0.4 mm. For V-cut also we require 0.4 mm. Where we can get your preferred DFM rule? You can check on our website, and there you will find the technical capability, technical specification also. Can you please explain DFM guideline for 2 ohms copper finish? For 2 ohms copper finish, mainly your track width and spacing, you have to take care. So for 2 ohms copper finish, we require 0.15 mm track width and 0.15 mm spacing. Are there any particular guidelines you have which can be shared here for mouse rate bytes during penalization? Yes, we have, but we will share you in the mail. Please drop your question at pcbpower.com. Price for 100 by 100 mm two layer PCB fabrication around 10 to 50 pieces. Please go on our website, register yourself. You will find online calculator and find yourself. How to include countersunk holes in design? For countersunk hole, you can define in a mechanical layer, and from where it is required. From top side you require bigger hole, or from bottom side you should. So it should be detailed. Okay, how can we get general and advanced technical specification? Do I have to send a mail for this? Yes, you can send a mail. What is minimum track width for 1 ounce board? For 1 ounce board, our minimum track width is 0.1 mm. Do you provide any design rule file that we can import to our CAD software? For Eagle we are providing DRU file, and for other softwares you can get the technical capability from our website. Is there any more questions? You can still drop your questions. Can I get the Eagle file by mailing you? Yes, definitely you will get the DRU file for Eagle, and if you want for fabrication to send for fabrication, Eagle BRD we are accepting. Is there any limitation on maximum PTH hole? Yes. Our maximum PTH hole diameter is 6.4 mm, and if you want, you can define up whatever you require. Is that extra charge for countersunk holes? Please check on our online calculator where all the technical specifications are available, and you can check on our website. Is it possible for you to include pictures like in the presentation in your technical specification page on website? It would be very helpful. Thanks for your suggestion. We will definitely work on it. Is there any question? Still, you can drop your question on the comment section. In normal specification, can I get edge connector like? Yes, you can get the edge connector. The distance from edge to copper we require 0.2 mm, that is for track or any copper, any other copper features. For edge connector, you can put it on. You can put it and you get it. Is there any question? Still, you can drop in the comment section. Hope you have enjoyed the webinar. Yes, you can get the video offline later. Okay, can you help in finalizing my design? Yes, you can send a mail to pcb@pcbpower.com. pcb@pcbpower.com. We will definitely help you. Hope you have enjoyed the webinar. Once again, thanks to all of you for attending the webinar. Stay vigilant, stay healthy. Have a nice weekend.